All right, so Will Anderson is fourth in the NFL in sacks right now, just behind a half sack behind Denil Hunter, also having a pretty good year. One of the things I like the most about this 2.5 sack performance by Will Anderson was just simply that it was quintessentially Will Anderson. He hustled his butt off, but then also was that for all of the sacks, all 8 of the Texans sacks, really, it was a group effort. It was the defensive line rushing in unison and with discipline, and it was the coverage on the back end, because not all of these sacks, most of these sacks were not really, really fast. Guys had to hit a second move or really grind to get it. You can see the one on this graphic here. Will Anderson generated a team-high 9 pressures and 2.5 sacks, with 6 of his pressures coming against Bills' right tackle, Spencer What's-His-Face. But the one all the way to the right, that's that serpentine one that he ran 51 yards to get to. 51 combined yards, according to Next Gen Stats. I've got all of his tackles and all of his sacks that showed up when I searched for it on the NFL Plus. Some of the pressures are missing, but whatever. Pressures aren't an actual NFL stat. So we'll just start sequentially with the tackles and the runs. I just, like, everything was on display that he's been working on this year. This first tackle was, again, a group effort by these 3 guys. If I could highlight a couple of the defensive linemen. First, there's Will. When you watch Will on this, off to the left there, he's going to play this C gap, but with inside leverage on that extra tight end. And right there, most guys would be tempted to just knife through that gap, try to get the tackle for loss. He feels that tight end crashing down on his left, and he realizes, I got to stiffen up this edge here. He has run support on the outside. He doesn't have contain, but he doesn't want to collapse and create a bubble that Henry To'oTo'o might have to cover. And then if you look at Tommy Togiai to Will Anderson's right, this is just, watch what he does to this tackle. Just drives him right back. And I am the captain now. He is the captain right there. And then Tim Settle, right before the snap, he's playing the numbers game here. He's got overload to the left, so runs are likely going to go to the left. If it comes back to the right, it's a counter or something. So he takes a little cheat step here, but he's doing something the Texans have been doing the last couple years that I love, is that Tim Settle turns into a 2-gapper, almost like an old-school nose tackle. Peaks front side, completely controlling and dominating his guy. That was just beautiful. Beautiful by the group, and obviously Will Anderson is the highlight here. I couldn't, on this video, I just couldn't decide how many plays to show you guys, so I'm just going to do different players from day to day because it was such a great effort by everybody. Will Anderson on the left here, will let it run through. This was a lot of hustle here too, but you can see as Josh Allen thinks he sees something downfield, he slows up just enough to try to make the throw. He was right at the line of scrimmage. And there's nothing magical here. I mean, Will gets a good rush and gets past Spencer Brown, but then just comes up, goes after the ball. Credit to Josh Allen for holding on to that. I don't know how he did. Will Anderson's probably beating himself up over not hitting the ball itself instead of just his arm, but he secures the tackle. That's not a sack, that's a tackle. Come to the next one. This was his first official sack of the game. And just, you can talk about the group effort here. So doing a really good job against Deion Dawkins, but like right here, he's at the level of the quarterback. He wants to try to compress the pocket as much as possible. If you look at Sheldon Rankins, the left defensive tackle lined up over number 64, how important did we talk about it was for the defensive tackles to not let Josh Allen have those easy yards up the middle. And then behind him, you've got Azeez Elshire spying Josh Allen. They did a good job of selectively spying him. So he pulls up, no place to run, drops his eyes, starts to scramble, and Will Anderson's there to take it. This one, watch Denil Hunter on our right side, the left defensive end. First, he's got to get rid of the chip by the tight end there, gets up on Spencer Brown, starts rushing to the outside. He's going to spin back inside, and this is what I love about it. Spencer Brown stayed home, and it wasn't going to be a great spin, but also I think more than anything, Denil Hunter here realized he could have kept going with this spin, and I think won with it, but he's trying to be disciplined too and not blow contain. I mean, he kind of turned up an opportunity for a sack there by saying, oh crap, I got to get back outside. Then realizes, like, okay, now it's on. I'm at the level of the quarterback. I can go. One point I want to make before I forget. I think this group this group mentality by the defensive line, knowing and understanding that, hey, we gotta be disciplined in our pass rush. Will Anderson can take credit for a lot of that. He's a young guy who cares about doing the right thing and not just getting as many sacks as possible. From the time he was a rookie, he's a leader on this team, and that's the kind of mentality. When one of your lead dogs has that mentality, as does Denil Hunter, everybody else kind of falls in line. Tackle for a loss here. Let this run. This is a classic one. I think when you first watch it, you think, why did they leave Will Anderson completely unblocked? Of course he's going to make this play. This is just a good play call that matched up. It's not the Bills' fault for calling this play, but the play call was perfect. Because if you see Will to his left, he's got a blitzing defensive back, and that means that the zone read, which would be holding Will Anderson in place, Will doesn't have to worry about the zone read. He doesn't have to check the quarterback, and he just goes. See right here, if you didn't have a blitz on here, Will would have had to settle down, let that clear, and then I think James Cook still would have been dead in the water. He might have had a shot on this one, but Will's there. So again, really great play call. I thought D'Amico and Matt Burke, I got to give him credit for the play. Matt Burke was in the Bills playbook all day long. They had figured out, is this the same one? Oh no, this is a different one. Okay. Oh, this is the serpentine sack. This is the one where he travels 51 yards to make the sack. Beats Spencer Brown. Spencer Brown holds him. Josh Allen gets free, and we'll pick it up right here. Mario Edwards didn't do a perfect job containing him, but pushed him to the sideline enough that everybody else could rally, and then Will Anderson gets the sack. One thing I want you to notice on this, watch the get off. Watch how quickly Will Anderson gets off the line of scrimmage from his 2-point stance. He's out there half yard ahead of everybody else. Just misses it. I mean, this is the kind of play where, honestly, stupid referee. He probably doesn't call the hold because they generally just don't bother with it if you get the sack because you're not going to accept the penalty anyway. But no, he couldn't get a perfect hit on him because he'd been held. Mario Edwards comes out. Denil Hunter is just hoofing it to the sideline. Boy, look at Denil's stride length there. And then and keep your eyes on Denil. Denil's right there, and then all of a sudden, they love each other. One more clip of this one, just so you can see Will Anderson, just how great a pass rush this was. Spencer Brown took his hands away. Will Anderson replaced. He's got held. Let's see. Next one. This is the half sack, I believe. So Will Anderson on the left. Two backs in the backfield. Just beats. Okay, so Will Anderson draws the holding penalty and comes back and got the left ankle. Credit Elias or whoever does the stats on there. I would have lost that. Back in high school, we had to do stats just from the sideline in real time. And, man, it was a constant battle over who got screwed. Now, here are the pressures. This first pressure is I'm glad this showed up as a pressure because I would have forgotten about it. But this was early in the game. I would have loved if Will was mic'd up on the sideline because he was crushing himself for losing contain on this one. Takes an inside move, ends up getting the pressure. It's an incomplete pass, but he just unless the one thing I would always say is that Sheldon Rankins right there. I mean, it's a tough one for him. If he sees Will Anderson come underneath, you got to try to get off, but he's getting held there. Bills do a good job of this. If you watch Sheldon Rankins, he's getting held right there, and they're not going to call it. I give Will a little bit of an excuse as Sheldon Rankins was trying to do the right thing. There's another clip of a play like this coming up, I think. Let's see. There's another pressure by Will Anderson. Swipe. Boom. Let's see the other guys on this. I've got another bunch of clips of just the defensive line. 4-man rush. Aziz is going to spy. Got a good Barnett rush there, too. Oh, let me show you this before I forget. No, I didn't. Let's see. Will Anderson distance traveled on that. 51.7 yards to sack Josh Allen. That was on that long one. Longest distance on a sack since week 2, 2023. No Texans defender over the last decade has covered more than 37 yards on a sack. Yep, I did. I covered 278 yards on a sack one day. I did. Unfortunately, they didn't have the GPS stats back then to confirm my greatness. This is the one that I don't like. Could have possibly been a grounding, but they didn't bother calling it because there was a tight end in the general direction. We'll watch Will here. He gets a pressure, but Denil Hunter ends up getting the little hezzy, boom, taking him back. Denil Hunter on the other side. Look at Denil on the left. Denil again had to be conscious of the potential chip or crack by that tight end or by that wide receiver. Did that. They just worked Spencer Brown on these. I think I got a Denil Hunter just for the sake of appreciating the beautiful things in life. Can we appreciate Denil Hunter's artistry? This is Denil Hunter. Oh my God, just up, underneath, hop. You see what he does here to set this spin up. Inside move up, comes up with a rip, but then turns it into a hump / spin. I mean, if you really wanted to give as much credit as possible, it's a 1 move, 2 move with faking the rip, 3 move with faking the hump, and then his 4th move is the spin. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. Just completely unconscious, playing jazz music right there. Let's see what these comments are. And God, if my mic was off, you're going to see a tantrum like nobody's ever seen before. Let's see. I understand not grounding, but I'm pretty sure that's still legal touch. That's what I thought too. I was discussing this up and from that angle you couldn't see, but I think it hit the offensive lineman before it hit the ground. Did it not? I mean, it's just I don't know. I'm trying not to complain about the officials these days, but it's hard. It's hard to keep my Zen-like state that you guys know I'm famous for. After watching the game yesterday, I think the Colts and Chiefs are both beatable. Yes. And I think the Colts defense, I think they're a good defense. I don't think they're as good as they look statistically. And some of that was almost like old school Colts back when the defense could just go out and hunt. And early in the season, the Colts offense was putting up so many points. The Colts defense was just kind of in hunt mode. I'm going to dive in deep on them over the next couple days, but they're definitely both beatable. I'm not overly intimidated by really anybody in the AFC right now. The specter of Lamar Jackson potentially reaching back peak form is always going to be a threat. Let's see. It's now been proven a couple times that if you can stop Jonathan Taylor, you can shut the Colts defense down. I think we have a good chance next week. Real quick, let me show this play. And I know I tweeted this, but shutting down Jonathan Taylor, easier said than done, obviously. But the Texans have, by and large, done a pretty good job of shutting down premier running backs or guys who are in the top 10 in rushing or top 15 in rushing. They hold them to less than their season averages. And I think that with James Cook, if we watch it from the end zone copy here, this was, unfortunately, for the Texans, some really bad officiating. If you look at 92 Dylan Horton, the left defensive end, they've got their 5 defensive line package out here. I think that, D'Amico and Matt Burke knew exactly which plays to load up against with these guys. But if you watch, first we'll just watch the play. Let's see. So you guys get a feel for it. And then it was off to the races after that. Watch Dylan Horton, the left defensive end, just absolutely destroy Spencer Brown as multiple Texans defenders did all day. And then right here, and on the TV copy, I know it was very obvious, he's getting held right there. Dylan Horton knows where the ball carrier is. Dylan Horton is destroying Spencer Brown, and Spencer Brown's got a hold of him with that left hand. He's not letting him leave. The referee, that's clearly at the point of attack. The official should have been able to see that. He did not. And you look at E.J. Speed, number 45, off to the right. He's getting held egregiously. And that's right there at the point of attack, too. You're going to try to tell me, Mr. Official, that he wouldn't have made the play anyway? That's what they love to tell you when a hold happens right in front of them. Well, you wouldn't have made that play. Well, like, the fuck do you know? How do you know how I could have gotten somewhere? I was being held. It's just that's like pulling a Nancy Kerrigan or a Tanya Harding and then saying, well, she wouldn't have won anyway. If you bash somebody's legs in and they can't ice skate, then that's a penalty. Miles Bryant was a little bit I don't know what's going on there. And then Kalen Bullock, I'm not watching from the sideline here. It was tough. That's a tough one because Kalen Bullock's up. He's off all the way to your right. From his alignment, that's going to be tough for him to make that play. But you take away that 45 yards or whatever, and they generally bottled up. They bottled Cook up pretty well. That is the battle in the past would have been, all right, if you load up to stop Jonathan Taylor, how are you going to do versus play action? And in the first game of the year versus the Rams, remember I was nervous about the fact that they bottled up the rushing attack by the Rams, but then they got really sliced up by play action. Since then, they've been incredible. And a lot of it has to do just with the discipline and the keys and the coaching of the linebackers and their intelligence and ability themselves. They've been really, really disciplined. So they've been good at stopping the run, but also not falling prey to the play action. So I am excited about this week. We'll get more into that as the week goes on, obviously. Please like, subscribe. I'm going to do a reaction to D'Amico's press conference later. As far as why I've been absent a good amount, I'm sorry. I rewatched the game after Thursday night, got to bed at about 2 a.m., then woke up at 4:30 a.m. to do my show, and then immediately after the morning show, I had to go to the airport, and I was flying from that point until I got into my hotel in Albany at about 11:30 p.m. Actually in Glens Falls, New York, but Albany's basically the Buffalo of the Hudson River Valley. So I felt like I was returning to the scene of the crime almost, or just going to visit the mother of the person I had just slain. Like, we're cool, right? Sorry, I feel bad about it. I won't do it again.